Hi, my name is Darren Huang. In this presentation, I will observe myself as a critical reader in English 201. Let's go. Reader response theory is when the student forms their own reaction to the text after carefully reading and developing their own interpretation to what they have just read. The first reader response that I did was for the things they carried. I wrote about the thoughts that Im- im- immediately came to me after reading and questions that I wanted to still learn more about. My reading strategies helped me to complete the reader response as I understood that everything the soldiers did had a purpose. Even if the things they carried seemed insignificant, like the box of letters, it still meant something to the soldiers. I continued to do reader response for the Kite Runner, where I elaborated on characterization and if the characters changed or not. This helped me develop my critical reading skills because analyzing war literature allowed me to see the events of the story from different lenses. In this specific case, I focused on historical, cultural, and a geographical lens. A critical analysis approach entails the student carefully reading and breaking down the text to look for essential elements that the author uses. These elements are humor, visual imagery, symbolism, metaphor, allusion, words of foreign origin, other rhetorical devices, direct and indirect characterization, internal and external conflict, theme, and new words that I have learned. For example, one rhetorical device for the kite runner that is on the top right of the screen is foreshadowing. Hosseini does a great job of using foreshadowing to make the novel have suspense. In this example, Amir has continued to throw pomegranate seeds at Hassan, which symbolizes the fracturing of their relationship. The foreshadowing is correct as eventually they drift apart and Amir moves to America. I also wrote that there were two major themes of the novel, those being resilience and guilt and betrayal. Baba and Amir have to completely start a new life for themselves in America, while Amir continues to hold an insurmountable amount of guilt for what he did to Hassan. Doing critical analysis helped me develop my critical reading skills, as I was able to enjoy my reading, and looking for these elements really helped me to understand the text better. The reading strategies that I primarily used were reading slowly, active reading, underlining key passages, noticing imagery, and looking up words I didn't know. On page 205 of the Kite Runner, I look up the definition of the word tandoor, and I now know that it is a clay oven originating from northern India and Pakistan. I also noticed the use of simile that describes Hassan's residence in Afghanistan after he has moved away from Amir's house. On page 7 of the things they carried, I felt that when Ted Lavender was shot, that was a climax. I also noticed the use of humor through the ghost sounds the soldiers were trying to create. These strategies d- 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 definitely helped me throughout the semester as they uncovered select nuances and details from my close reading. The digital tool that helped me the most as a critical reader was a Tory. This visual timeline from the Vietnam War allowed me to be creative and to know how to choose a credible image. This specific image is from an exhibit of the Smithsonian titled Artist Response, American Art and the Vietnam War, 1965 to 1975. What really struck me was how Peter Saul was able to put his emotions onto his artwork. He laid it all out there, as colors and exaggerated features show that he views the Vietnam War as an unjust and immoral atrocity. He uses shock and polarizing elements to show his strong opposition to America's participation in the Vietnam War. Lastly, this assignment taught me how to use the library databases, a critical skill for so many classes. The work in English 201 greatly helped me with my deconstructed research paper for first year writing. I chose a source on the top and bottom left of the screen with the help of the same reference librarian that helped me with my Satori assignment. I had to break down this secondary source using different lenses as trying to make the public libraries of New York City a social safety net for a community that gives educational and other resources is not an easy feat. In this analysis of the Kite Runner, I'm I am analyzing the text using a geographical and cultural lens. The Taliban don't speak Farsi anymore. They speak Pashto, a major language of Pakistan and Afghanistan. They're also using a different currency, a rupee instead of an Afghani. This specific scene illustrates Amir reading Sarab for the first time in front of the Taliban, and analyzing the text using these lenses allowed me to write with sophistication and clarity. The challenges that I faced during the semester were using enough textual evidence in my reading response and time management. I didn't understand how textual evidence is so important. You can't back up your statements without support. This was especially apparent in the sympathizer, as the text was complex and kind of a tough read. By not using enough textual evidence in my reader response, I failed to comprehend some of the key components, such as the author's purpose of writing in the excerpt. The picture on the top of the screen shows the schedule that Professor Holm gave me in the beginning of the semester, and this has been a huge help for me. By planning out the events of the day, I am much more likely to succeed. The most memorable experience with literature that I had was reading The Kite Runner and the group discussions. My annotations on the right show some of the racist beliefs the characters have and their overall method of the story. For me, that is resilience. I felt that Amir redeemed himself through fighting for Sarab and making sure he comes out alive. This tells me that no matter how many mistakes I make, what matters is I get back right up and continue doing the right thing. I admit that I do struggle with looking back at the past too much, and this novel taught me that it's okay to make mistakes, just do better next time. I can use the ability to move on from mistakes both in my academic and athletic life. Lastly, I enjoyed using Microsoft Teams for the first time, as I'll probably use it in the future as well. My aha moment of this course was writing my short story. This experience of moving from New York to California really changed my life. I would not be the person that I am today without having experienced this. Doing this assignment taught me that I can be creative and I can really write something powerful and emotional. I used simile and imagery in my short story to really deliver a heartfelt message. My simile was about a bee having to pollinate the next flower, just like how I have to continue to move on with the stages of my own life. Being settled in this assignment gave me the inspiration to pursue a creative writing minor along with my accounting major. That is the end of my presentation, and thank you very much.